The faculty and the students of Simpson College, including those who have to be here, good evening. Nothing's had such a central role in the social order as the institution of marriage. Historically, marriage has been between a man and a woman, and even the language of our culture reflects this understanding with such couplets as bride and groom, husband and wife, father and mother. In the 1970s, there were a few failed attempts in America to redefine marriage to include same-sex couples. In the early 1990s, Hawaii came close to having same-sex marriage imposed by the courts. The Hawaii situation was a shot across the bow to many states, and 45 states enacted laws defining marriage as between a man and a woman in order to protect marriage as between a male and a female. 30 of those 45 states actually amended their constitutions to make sure that the definition of marriage was above the reach of the courts. Iowa didn't do that. Their 1998 marriage statute was passed by the legislature. Therefore, it was within review by the Supreme Court of Iowa. And as we've heard in the Varnum versus Bryan case back April 3rd of this year, the Iowa Supreme Court voted 7-0 to strike down the marriage law the legislature had enacted and to redefine marriage to include same-sex couples. Who should define marriage in Iowa? The court? The legislature? The people? Should an important institution such as marriage be defined by 7 unelected people wearing black robes? Then I take the position that Iowa Supreme Court decision in Varnum was wrongly decided, and I contend that the only democratic solution to the marriage debate is to let the people of Iowa decide this issue. To date, 30 states have been allowed to vote on whether or not they want to amend their constitutions to define marriage. And 30 states have said, yes, we do, and they've made it marriage between a man and a woman. But in Iowa, you need the legislature to get the ball rolling. And as of this point, apparently they're not interested in letting the people decide the issue. Why won't the Iowa legislature allow the people to vote on this? Perhaps those who control the legislature, they know that the good people of Iowa are fair-minded. They're tolerant, they're accepting, but they draw the line when it comes to redefining marriage. According to a Des Moines Register poll from last year, only 28% of those polled in the survey support same-sex marriage. But back to Varnum. Why was it wrongly decided? I'll give you 3 short reasons. First, it undermined democracy. It took away from the legislature, who have been duly enacted by the people of Iowa to make laws, it took it out of their hands. Very undemocratic. Secondly, it violated legal precedent, and it took a lot of leaps of logic and legal reasoning to arrive at that conclusion. And third, perhaps even most important for policy reasons, it downplayed the core character of marriage, which is attaching a mother and a father to their children. Now, I also want to warn you about 3 myths that enter into marriage debates. The first is that the same-sex marriage issue is the same as interracial marriage issue. It's not. Sexual orientation and race are different. Race is an immutable characteristic. Sexual orientation is not. 3 groups of ex-gays filed an amici brief in the Varnum case, reminding the court that sexual orientation can change. So we have ex-gays, but I've yet to meet an ex-black or ex-Hispanic. So it's not about race. The second myth, people who support traditional marriage are bigoted or hateful. Please. Disagreement is not hate, and those who support same-sex marriage do harm to their position when they try to bully or shame people who disagree. And the third myth, that it's about equal rights. It's not. Bringing up same-sex couples' inability to make healthcare decisions affecting their partners does not make the marriage debate about equal rights. The state can grant couples rights and recognitions of their relationships other than calling it marriage. Many states have done this with civil unions or domestic partnerships. But same-sex couples want more than the right to want more than the rights that accompany marriage. They want their relationships to be called marriage. The Varnum plaintiffs themselves said the ultimate issue was, quote, personal and public affirmation, close quote. Same-sex couples want their relationships to be publicly affirmed as being the same as traditional marriage. This cannot happen if the core characteristic of marriage is procreative potential, and if the core purpose of marriage is to serve as a protective institution for children of mothers and fathers to be united together. Historically and And biologically, same-sex relationships are not the same as opposite-sex relationships, and no court can change that fact. In conclusion, the Varnum decision undermined democracy, it violated legal precedent, and it damned with faint praise the traditional marriage's benefit to children. The best remedy for the mischief caused by the Varnum court is to let the people of Iowa, not the court, decide how marriage is defined.